Hello, everyone. Andrew Logan here. Great to be doing a live video. We are live on Facebook. We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on podcast. And I have a number of guests with me today, which is really, really exciting. We've got a packed house on the podcast, on the Facebook Live. I have my wife, my amazing wife, Angie, beside me. Hey, Angie.
Hello.
And I have two incredible friends, an absolutely amazing power couple, Lloyd and Alicia, the side hustle couple. Welcome, guys. We're going to be talking about building your side hustle as a couple. So, who better to bring on? Thanks for being on.
What's up?
Wow.
Happy
Thank
to be
you for
on.
having
Woo!
us. This is going to be fun.
Come on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's go.
Awesome.
Well, what an honor to have you both here and to have Angie beside me for the podcast as well, for a very special podcast because we've got some cool things to talk about right at the end. But let's start with, for people who don't know you yet, I know I've had both of you on the podcast in the past, but we want to talk about, this whole generation side hustle, and obviously people are looking for ways to bring in extra income stream. But what I've always loved about your story is that you were doing everything traditional society told you to do. Like, you had degrees and careers and professions and all these sorts of things. It's not a kind of typical story in that regard. So what prompted you to make that pivot? Because you could have led a good life really for the rest of your life, staying on the path you were on.
Good question. I mean, we weren't in any like extreme financial difficulty. Like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like we had come out of we weren't at rock bottom. But in areas of our life, we could definitely we needed areas of improvement for sure. And it wasn't like we were. Like, I'd always thought about, well, what else is out there? And these questions you ask yourself, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? And is this what I'm built to do? And blah, 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 blah. Because we don't know those things. We're just thrust into society and we just kind of, try and figure it out. But so Alicia was working as a paralegal. I was in property and just going about, go through the motions. Like, we'd come home, walk our dog, glass of wine, watch Big Brother, I don't know, like watch TV and then just do that. Not work out. We weren't training. We go, we go for drinks on the weekend, Friday night, hungover. Yeah, just play that game. I mean, we're doing some investing on the side because we knew that we wanted to actually build passive income of some sort. So we're investing in shares that are already begun because I never really wanted to work for the rest of my life.
No, that's exactly right. And, when reflecting back on, our relationship at the beginning, before we started the side hustle, before we got into business together, it was almost just like our relationship was great. But looking back, it was almost like all our conversations were very like cappuccino conversations, very surface level conversations. It wasn't really about goals and vision and what we wanted to do as a couple. And I feel like that definitely changed, and it brought us so much closer together when we did actually get into business together and start building something together. Because it was almost like I had my career, Lloyd had his career. We weren't building something together, but this beautiful side hustle has allowed us to do that. And I'm so excited to be on this podcast, be on this live to talk about that in more detail. But yeah, very, very exciting times, isn't it? Been 8 years, 8 long years.
It's interesting to look back, because we're in the car yesterday and I said to Alicia, isn't it cool that we did it? And she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, we actually did it. Like, we set out to do this thing and we actually did it. Like, we're flying around the world. We did it. Like, it's just a nice, very few people do it. And I think that's what it's not. Anyway, so yeah, it started out really shitty. I was fat, out of control, and needed to get my health together, right? And so that's how it started with network marketing through my sister Brooke, who you were friends with, and that's how we introduced. Excellent. And then within a week, we made $1 million. It was amazing. In the end, it was.
Of course, disclaimer. Of course, he is joking. But let's be honest. You are 7-figure earners. You are legitimate 7-figure earners. You are working from home together, and you get into travel. You've just come back from the States. You've had, you've had what, 20, 30 trips around the world into amazing places and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's you have made it. It's amazing to watch.
I felt the same way. I was like, oh, we've done it. We've done the trips. We've got a wonderful team that's growing and just great people, and had wonderful mentors like yourselves and others in the company, and great company. It's our first one and last one. It's just like, it's a legacy company, and just fortuitous to be attracted into that through yourselves, like who you are and the type of company you to put your ladder against, which is the same values as ours. And we just found a home there. So we're in our 8th year, I think, now.
Yeah, our 8th year. And isn't it cool too, just to think about, like, Lloyd's sister introduced us to network marketing, and because of that, we met both of you. And here we are, on this podcast and celebrating your wins that we're going to chat about towards the end, which I'm really excited about, and just all the cool people that we've met along the way in our 8-year journey. And that's all because of that one conversation that Andrew initially had with Brooke. And here we are. So we never forget that, and we're super, super grateful.
Yeah.
Goosebumps. Yeah.
Can I jump in?
You go, Ange, sorry.
You go.
I was going to jump in with a question. So I'm going to address an elephant in the room here. So obviously, working as a couple works for you guys. It works for us. There's challenges along the way, which we'll chat about. But what are your thoughts on? I mean, it as I said, it works for us. But what about for the unsupportive spouses? What are your thoughts or advice or tips there for people that are struggling with that?
You know what, Ange? Like, not everyone's built for business. Like, if you can hear some groaning in the background, that's our dachshund. So there's not an elephant in the room. There's a dachshund in the room, and it's way louder than an elephant. So if you hear that weird sound, it's not my stomach. It's an actual dog. Not everyone's built for business. Like, not everyone has that entrepreneurial itch they need to scratch. Not everyone has the same risk profile or vision or goals or anything like that. And what happens in couples is, if there's one person in the couple that has bold vision, big goals, wants to be entrepreneurial and wants more than out of life and wants to grow, and one doesn't, then that's where it can become a little like challenging. And I'm not suggesting that. I mean, we didn't really know who had vision or not. I mean, I was kind of entrepreneurial before. I was already doing that to some extent, but I didn't know if Alicia wanted to be entrepreneurial. Turns out she's got a flair for it and is amazing at it. But she didn't even know that, I don't think. So there were moments where she was probably apprehensive, like, oh, do I really want to be doing this? And I was like, oh, this seems to be good, because I had different levels of experience. I was coming in with different perspectives. We all have different upbringings and values and beliefs and our parent. Like, there's so many different parts to each component of the couple. So the tips are, I think that, I mean, in a marriage or in a relationship that you're committed to supporting and helping and encouraging the dreams of the other person anyway, irrespective of what they want to achieve. But here's the thing. With business, it is not like a job, and it's not like a hobby. It's like a child. And I can't say that with any, because I'm not even a parent yet, but it's like, it takes every morsel of your energy and focus and soul to bring to life and keep alive. And if the other couple or the other partner doesn't understand that, they start questioning, like, why are you doing that? Why are you driving there? Why do we spend money here? Why are you doing that? Why on your phone at night time? They just don't get it. The business requires maximum all-in effort for a few years to get it cranking. And if you don't do that, then it fails. So if you have a situation where the other partner's not support, the advice is, it's not good enough to support. It's not good enough, because it takes it's so challenging to build a business that it takes encouragement more. So that's not to support, like, oh, I'll just look after the kid. It's like, you can do this, honey. I've got your back. Whatever you need, let's go. Like, if you need to fly there, we'll make it work. I'll get a second job. I'll do this. I'll get the kids. Like, you can, like, it's pouring belief, and it's pouring, like that speaking into the vision coming to life, and I think that's what it needs. And if it doesn't have it, don't expect that spouse of yours to go and kill it, because you don't believe.
I was just going to touch on that point, actually. So I feel like, just in our, short 8 years in network marketing, we've been able to actually coach and train quite a few couples. And we've had this come up a lot, my spouse isn't supportive. What can I do to help get him on board? And, one thing that I want to address, seeing as we're like talking about this particular topic, is they see what you're doing at home as well. So if you're not taking it seriously, behind the scenes,
Yeah.
why are they going to show up for you as well? So it's just like going back to what Lloyd said earlier, it's just like communication. You always hear it. Got to be an effective communicator. You got to communicate with your spouse, be in marriage, be in business. Communicate what you actually want with your partner. It's a very difficult conversation to have. We've done it before. We've done our vision boards, and it's just like, this feels weird because we've never chatted about goals before. Here I am declaring something that's invisible. I can't even see it yet. How am I going to get there? But it's having that conversation and being like, I'm fired up. I can see potential here. This is what I want to actually achieve. Yes, you may not want to build with me, but be that encourager. And I promise that I'm going to give this everything my end, right? Because it's a two-way thing as well.
If your belief is 10 out of 10, echoing, that's a really good point. If your belief is 10 out of 10, your spouse will join you in that belief. But if your belief is 5 out of 10, your spouse will join you in that belief.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering why they're not committed like you are, it's because your belief is not 10 out of 10. They can feel it, see it, sense it, see it.
Yep. Well, I love that.
I think you make sort of three really good points that I just want to highlight. And, Angie and I, when we share our story, it really does come down a lot to that communication, as you say, and goals. Like similar to you, we had our own careers, we led our own lives, but it wasn't until we found this that it was like, actually, we can do this together. But it took me communicating that, because for the first 9 months or so, I was that dabbler. Like, I wasn't taking it seriously. I didn't have a vision. I didn't have goals. So Ange couldn't buy into me.
No.
And then so we take that sort of the next step as well, as you say, is that there is that vicious cycle where, you can see a lot of people, one of them sitting around waiting for the other to get on board, and the other's sitting around waiting for them to get results. And it's like, okay, well, like, when are you going to support me? Well, when are you going to do something? And then it's a breakdown of communication, obviously, but it's just this vicious cycle, because generally, like, men tend to be a bit more kind of black and white results, like, show me the results, and the women have the vision. But we've got to meet through communication. And then the other thing that I think you said that's so really important is just understanding that there's content and context, like what we see and how we filter it. Like, I can send a text message to my wife and she could filter it very differently to how it was intended, or something like that. But, like, we can see a politician speak and two people can hear two totally different things from the same speech, right? And so it can be the same with your spouse, that you see opportunity and they see a burden, or you see potential and they just see expense. And so we have to communicate to understand their context, like understand how they're seeing this and how they're approaching it.
Yeah. And
it's so good.
And that's exactly right. And the spouse that sells the other spouse wins. If you're in a situation, you sell better, like, because your belief is better and you articulate it better, they'll follow you. But if they articulate their message to you and it's to dismantle what you're doing and you buy into that, you've been sold. So the one that sells the best will win, and the biggest vision wins. Always.
Oh,
the boldest vision wins. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? Without a vision, a relationship perishes. Just so everybody knows, just to put that in context. Like, if there is no vision, your relationship's cooked. Game over. It may not be game over yet, but it's dying. So you either get a vision. Like, if it's not in network marketing, you got to have a vision. And most couples, they just disintegrate because there's no vision, and if there's no vision, there's nothing to work towards. You're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty powerful, isn't it?
It's nature. Yeah.
That kind of takes me on to my next, just talking about that. So obviously running a business together comes with a lot of challenges, which, some of them we've just touched on. How do you guys separate your business challenges and stop them from seeping into your relationship, and just keeping that separation there?
Well, it's one and the same thing. I don't think you can join to the hip. So, like, you may as well be building a business as well. It's like, people have babies. It's a flipping human being. Like, they're conjoined by having an actual human being birthed. Like, how do you separate kids from your relationship would be the same question. Like you don't. Like, it's all part of it. So it's the same thing. You don't really separate your business from your relationship. It's impossible.
Mm.
Anyone that tries to do that's crazy. Like that's like saying, yeah, get rid of the kids. We'll just have our relationship over here. It's not going to work. It is.
Yeah.
It's like having a child. You've got to talk about it, and you've got to a lot. Like, how do we want to bring this business up? Where are we going to grow the business? What sort of values do we want in our business? So, are we serious about it? Are we putting the effort and spending the time with our business? And same as you raise a child, no doubt. Like it's just so impossible to separate it. Like even yesterday, Alicia's like, I'm going to go walk the dog. I'm like, why are you going to go? Because all I hear about today is just selling tickets. I was like,
I actually went shopping.
that's why I went shopping. I was like, I'm going to go shopping. I'm like, why? He goes, because all I hear in this house is, wait, how many tickets are we going to sell? I'm like, oh, yeah, fair enough. All right. So it's like, like we go through moments where it's like one just like is focused on something, and the other's like, yeah, I get it. Like, we're going to do it. Don't worry. But sometimes you can have, those moments where it's like, it overtakes the whole conversation.
So I actually saw this funny video on Instagram or TikTok, wherever I watched it the other day, and it was actually this guy. He's sitting at the table, and the caption was, "We've just been on holiday together for 14 days." And they literally have nothing to talk about because they're with each other. They're a married couple. So they're like, so how's the weather? And it made me think that Lloyd and I always have something to talk about because we actually love business. We love it. People ask us all the time, what do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do for fun? Yes, I love to go shopping, but I also love to build a business with Lloyd. Like, this is fun for us. And so challenges, I guess.
Challenges our biggest challenge is not doing fun shit. That's too hard. We don't like it. Please don't invite us to do anything fun because it's not fun for us. It's actually saying no to all that stuff that's the hardest thing, Frank. It's not hard to do. When we're in our business element and we're doing the business, it's our joy and it's what we find is fun. So we don't find it hard. We find it fulfilling and we find it fulfilling. We want to do that more. So we find it the opposite. All the other shit's up.
Probably not the answer you wanted, Ange, but maybe a different perspective that.
Yeah. Oh no, I love what you're saying. I guess probably also what I'm meaning is if you were to butt heads about an idea with the business, or if one of you is complaining about something, how do you switch that off and think, okay, that's business without it affecting your marriage as such? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
but I guess as you say, your vision is so strong and you've shared your goals and you communicate so well that probably irons out anything seeping in perhaps.
I think a really important element of it is we've grown together. So we've gone to personal development events. We've gone to Tony Robbins together. We've gone to, done multiple company events together. And we've gone, and it's like together, not like kind of together. Every event's the same because what's happening is as we're learning about how to communicate better and talk about our feelings and be vulnerable and all that jazz, then it's the same. So you're receiving the same training and coaching on how to be a better human being, which means you both level up, which means if those things arise where you're having a fight, like if I do something and say something wrong and it's very rarely do we ever fight, but like, let's say we did, you don't shut the business down. You deal with the conflict. Like, you deal with it fast and effectively, and you say sorry and you make amends and you say, hey, love you. Like, this is most important that a relationship is solid, but it doesn't mean you close the door of the business for the day or the day. You just, you should really be having a fight in a moment. It's a moment, and it's not even a full day. It doesn't wreck the day. It's just like in a moment, I made a massive mistake here. I'm going to flip and own that quickly and thoroughly and move through it. And then we're done and we move on. And so it doesn't mean you close the business or whatever else. But if you've got a real systemic issue with your marriage or your relationship, like it's really some really underlying problems there with behaviors not compatible. Like some couples, frankly, just shouldn't have got married or they shouldn't be together. And I think if you add a business into that fold, it's the same as adding a child. Like if you want to know what it's the same as adding a child. So, our relationship is okay. It's kind of rocky. I'm like, let's have a baby. You know what happens then? Yeah. Like, let's just pressure cook it. Like,
I guess it almost identifies problems that were already there when you're in business. Then it's like, didn't realize we had these problems or these issues. Again, back to that communication. What can we do together in order to work through it? Because, I have my values. Lloyd has his values. I'm not right. He's not right. We all think differently. We're all wired differently, but it's just a matter of communicating that and what's the most effective way forward.
Yeah.
And
There's some things that I've done, like Alicia will. You're done speaking. I just cut you off.
I'm sure it's going to be a very amazing point.
But like,
Do you need to pause for a minute?
no, Alicia's amazing at things that I'm not amazing at, and it's kind of like vice. We're very compatible in different areas, and we've identified those. And when I was kind of like suggesting, like, okay, well, if you do that and I'll do this, I would encroach because I'm just a driving personality, and it would kind of rob her of the chance to finish that task, and that would create a little bit of conflict, and I had to learn lessons around that and have trust and faith, and so it's not always smooth when you're trying to figure out where each other sits, or even smooth to try and figure out how to communicate better. As long as you're working at it, it makes a lot of sense.
So good. And I also think like a really important point to raise is at the beginning, I tried to like learn to do everything, like get on calls and do business calls and training. And because Lloyd was really good at that. And he was like, imagine if we both did that. You got on the calls and you did the coaching, you did the training, and I worked at it, but it wasn't my gift. Like it wasn't my spiritual gift. I'm not the best teacher, but I have gifts elsewhere. And so it's almost just like we've divided roles within our business, and Lloyd's the teacher, Lloyd's the trainer. Whereas, I found myself more of like, I love administration. I love putting slides together. I love like going into our back office and looking at reports and things like that, and doing research and then showing Lloyd what I've learned, and then he applies it. And so we've learned that, I guess, just through trial and error, and realizing that we're not all good or great at things, but live into our actual gifts where we actually want to do it. And that's where you'll thrive. Yeah. But understanding that Lloyd doesn't really love admin. Fine, I do. I'll do that. And not expecting everyone to do everything, I guess, is a really important point that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. I was going to say, to me, certainly, and you're saying it there, the key to a great relationship and the keys to a great relationship and the keys to a great business aren't drastically different. You need to communicate. You need to have a vision. You need to have discipline. You talk about, there is going to be sacrifice, and especially when you launch a business, like launching any business, but like they need cash flow, they need attention, they need they need oxygen every single day.
They're like kids.
Yeah, they are like children. And so it is the same where you need to have those character traits of discipline, work ethic, communication with your partner, identify your strengths. And again, the one point I really want to highlight, and you sort of said it at the start, but you really, like we were talking about it there more, and it's so important to always remember is, I'm sure you guys get it, and Angie and I get it a lot, where people would come up to us and say, oh, I want my partner to do this with me. And I always say, like, are you sure? Are you sure you actually want that before we actually talk about how to do it? Because it can cast a magnifying glass on your life, and when the stress of a business seeps into a relationship, and if there are little cracks in the relationship or there are communication challenges, that's going to show up, that's going to get magnified, and that's not always a great thing. We don't want to build a business at the sacrifice of our happiness. We want to build a business and magnify our happiness, magnify all the great things about our relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I think though that if you're building a business and your partner's on it and you're not involved somehow, like support, yes, encourage, yes, but I'll even go a step further. You've got to be involved. It doesn't mean you've got to sell or market or speak at events or whatever, but you have to be involved. Does that make sense? A level of involvement, whatever that involvement is, it's there. And if that happens, even if one particular partner wants to drive it and go, that'll work. But if there's zero involvement and just back-end support stuff, what will happen is your partner will meet someone else who's like them, and you'll probably get divorced, frankly. I'm just telling it as it is. If you're sitting back and not involved and there's no interest, then it's probably just going to eventually fade away.
Absolutely, 100%. And I guess too, on that topic, as far as the involvement goes, we consider events, the amount of spouses that are staying home to take care of the children, and they're changing nappies and they're dealing with tantrums and they're doing meals and bedtimes, and so that is a sacrifice and involvement, isn't it, while their partner is off
Yeah,
building the business. So it is an involvement as far as that goes.
it is, but it's like there's no complaints about it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how was the event? Like, you're rocking. How was the event? What'd you do? Oh, awesome! Like, and who else spoke? And oh yeah, I watched a bit of it. That's involvement. It's engaging. It's not like, how was the event? Like, while you've been doing that, I've been doing this. That is not going to work. Like, you just
and if we spin that, I suppose it's a matter of the spouse who has gone coming back and saying, do you know what, I'm so grateful for you and I appreciate you for being at home with the kids to allow me the opportunity to go and grow and learn. And isn't it? It comes back to what you were saying with the communication, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, if they're not grateful for that in the first place, then.
But I feel like that just goes back to having a great relationship and a great marriage and being a great human being, gratitude and being thankful for everything. And it's not an expectation. It's just like being thank you. Even for us, like everyday duties in the house, if I've seen someone, Lloyd's clean the kitchen, I'll be like, thanks for cleaning. If he made the bed, thanks for making the bed. There's no ever an expectation there that he's supposed to do it or I'm supposed to do it. Came back yesterday, Lloyd was cooking dinner. I was like, thanks for cooking dinner, babe. Like, always thanking each other for doing things for each other and be in business for everyday life. Again, just be mindful of that. And don't take each other for granted, because that could happen as well. You're with each other, for years and years and years. We're coming up to our 11-year anniversary next month, in October. Can't believe it. And so never, ever forget that.
I think I was going to say something. Yep, lost it. Gone.
That's all right. Well, while you're thinking about it, let's talk about something really, really exciting that we're really excited to talk about. This is we have our new book has just
I feel like we need champagne.
Yes, Champagne Monday. Let's have a Champagne Monday. But we have our new book talking about all of these exact challenges called The Way Out Together. And it's Angie and I sharing a lot more of our story. So it's like, I wrote my first book, The Way Out, where I kind of shared our business story more, but this is The Way Out Together. And this is really, it's digging deeper into our business story, but really sharing the couple side of things and looking at through the whole lens and talking about, the challenge of the first 9 months where I wasn't very good at communicating and I wasn't very good at committing and believing. So Angie wasn't believing in me, but how we work through those challenges. And we share a number of strategies for couples working together. And also, even if you have a great couple relationship, you might have people in your team who are struggling with this. And the really cool thing, and the reason we got Lloyd and Alicia on today, is because they share their story in the book as well. So went out and found, 8 incredible friends and great people that we've met throughout the last 10 years for us. And they've shared their story as well, just overcoming, the challenges and talking about the highs and the lows in their business, how they structure their day, all that as well. So they're interviewed in the book as well. So it was great to have them on. Now, I'll just put a little website here. So the book has just launched. We just got the website finished literally like half an hour ago, like right up to before we hit live. You can go to andrewlogan.net/together. And there's some extra special launch specials for the first week as well. So speaking of that, we've got an event coming up in about a month's time, Freedom Fest event in 4 weeks' time. And Alicia, you are speaking at that as well. You're going to be talking about social media, Instagram, because you're getting 1 million views on your reels and
15 million.
15 million now. So if you want to learn how to get 15 million views on Instagram, you can grab that and you can grab the book and you'll get a free ticket to Freedom Fest as well. Alicia will be speaking now. So wanted to obviously plug that. We're really, really excited about it and because we really want to help more and more people share these stories out there. Just while you're thinking about that, Lloyd, if you do want to follow Lloyd and Alicia following their story, their journey, they're super active on their social media and they there's no it's not just the nice fluffy stuff. They are real and raw and they tell you all the things that they're doing. Even when Alicia's throwing down netball goals from outside the circle today, I noticed. So at Lloyd James Ross and at Alicia Fernandez 87. Did you have that last little thing, Lloyd?
Yeah, and it probably lends itself to your book, The Way Out Together. Such a great title, because what I was going to say, and it does lend itself straight to that title, the way out. Like when you're building as a couple, it's towards this goal for a reason. It's not just to build a business, but to build a business. But there was this yearning inside, certainly of me, and I would dare say Alicia too, but it was to say, well, the day we do have kids, we will be at home. Like it was preparation. Like it's building a bridge, and it's a way out of whatever uncomfortable rat race you're in. And as you're going out of that rat race, you're actually building this wonderful, amazing empire together and relationship together. And if you do it correctly and you're open and you coach with each other and you do care about each other, you'll actually form the strongest relationship ever. And so it's the way out of a mediocre relationship as much as it is it's a way out of the mediocre career.
That's so beautiful. And I just want to, say something before this ends. It's like, I got to read the book and, behind the scenes. And all I can say is when I was reading the book, it allowed me to read other people's stories and be like, I'm not the only one that felt like that or went through that. So it was almost just like, yes, I'm not weird. Other people went through that and they got through it. And, it's just so powerful that you have those those 8 couples that you interviewed in the book, because they're all different backgrounds, different careers. And so even if you're not even in a couple, I would encourage you to read it, because you'll understand people in your team who are in a couple. It will make sense for you. And so I just want to say congratulations to both of you. This is in high demand, this book. So well done for taking the time, the sacrifice, all the hard work and effort that went in behind the scenes to actually build this amazing asset. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. And yeah, I think it's great to, as you say, great to share other people's stories and get to share more of our own. And I know, and we've shared the stage a number of times, and Lloyd famously steals my jokes from the teleprompter. Like
he steals mine too.
If you know me, I love a lame joke, and he actually just physically steals them off the teleprompter when we share the stage. But
I think that happened one time.
At the biggest event ever.
It was one time, but it was the biggest event we'd ever done. But no, the thing I did want to say is, to Lloyd's point before, we're talking about, we do get asked, and we've all been asked by this one mentor of ours, this great mentor of ours, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years, and what's been the biggest thing that this industry has allowed? And for me, it is always that, very similar to your answer before, like, if nothing else, we are a better husband and wife, we're a better couple. And like for Angie and I, we're just such better parents because of the personal development we've done, because of the people we've met, because of the environment we've surrounded ourselves in. And even this morning, both the kids had the day off school for like parent-teacher interviews and stuff like that. And we could just be there. Like, it wasn't a hassle that both kids had the day off school, but we took them out for brunch, and we had like a nice family brunch. And it was like, hey guys, like tonight, mum and dad are like, the book's being launched, and hey, we might be working, we might be, just doing a bit more work than normal over the next sort of week or so with everything going on. And they were just, like, we wouldn't have been able to do that in our old life. So it's so cool to be able to do that and to be able to share that and help others do that as well.
And they're excited, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
When you said that to him, Jack would be too busy building his YouTube channel to worry about what you're up to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they were excited, but they were both just sort of also, like off in their own little children's world a bit, and like, okay, like, all right, like, when's my brunch get here? All right, anything else you wanted to say, darling?
No, just thank you so much for joining us and for those little nuggets. It's always great to hear another perspective, and it was just very valuable. I'm sure plenty of other people will find plenty of nuggets in there too.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on. We wouldn't be in this position without you two. So massive gratitude to my sister and you two, and for the mentorship and the early days of getting through it, because if you hadn't done that, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So we're forever grateful for you guys. So thanks. And it's all going to be in the book, So if you're a couple, grab the book.
Yep.
Appreciate all your time, and for everyone who's jumped on live, for everyone who's watching the YouTube replay or watching, listening to the podcast replay, great to have you on, and appreciate all your time. And we will see you all again soon.